So far, we have implemented all the CRUD operations. Now, I want to add a search box on top of this table so we can quickly look up a product by its title. So back in the template for admin products component, here on the top, just above this table, I'm going to add a paragraph. And inside this, I'm going to add an input field with the class form-control. Now let's give it a placeholder search. Now here we want to handle the key up event. So as the user types something, we want to quickly filter the list of products. So here we're going to call the filter method in our component. And as the argument, we want to pass the value of this input field. So we can give it a template variable like query and send query to this method, query.value. Okay. Now let's implement this method in our component. So here I'm going to add the filter method that takes a query, which is a string. Now, before implementing the actual filtering logic, I just want to log this query in the console to make sure what I have done so far works. So console.log query. All right, back in the browser. So I've opened the console. Let's search for kale. Okay, our event handling is working properly. Now let's implement the actual filtering logic. Now here we have two choices. We can filter on the server before getting the data from Firebase, or we can filter on the client. Which approach should we use? Again, it depends. Because this application is for an organic shop, here we are dealing with a small number of products. And by product, I mean more accurately, product types, not product instances. So in an organic store, the total number of product types should not be more than, let's say, 500 or maximum 1,000. In this case, it's more efficient to download all these products when the page loads and do the filtering on the client. This way, the user is going to have a better and faster user experience. In contrast, if you had tens of thousands of records or maybe million records, it wouldn't make sense to download all these objects to the client and do the filtering there. So in this particular scenario, I'm going to implement filtering on the client. So back in our admin products component, now that we want to implement filtering here, we can't use this observable anymore. Instead, we need to have all these products in an array so we can filter it later. So I'm going to rename this to products and set its type as any array. For now, I set it to any. Potentially in the future, we can define an interface like product and set the type of this field to product array. Now, here in the constructor, we need to subscribe to this product service. We get all the products and we set this.products to this products. Okay. Now I want to keep this subscription there for the lifetime of this component. I don't want to apply the take one operator because it is possible that the user might have two different windows open. One is the list of products and the other is a product they're editing or a product they're adding. So if they're working on multiple windows, I want to make sure that changes in other windows are reflected in this list. So I want to keep the subscription there. And instead, I'm going to implement the onDestroy interface in this component and unsubscribe from this subscription when this component is destroyed. So here we add implement onDestroy. And this means we should add ng onDestroy method here. Now we need to have a subscription field. So subscription of type subscription. You can see this type is defined in rxjs/subscription. Okay, so when we subscribe here in the constructor, we store the result in this subscription. And then in ng onDestroy, we call this .subscription.unsubscribe. So what I want you to note here is that there is no one size fits all. Sometimes we define an observable in our component and unwrap it using the async pipe in the template. Other times, we may apply the take one operator on our observable or explicitly unsubscribe like here. So which approach you choose really depends on what you're building. So now we have all the products in this array. Now we want to have this as a backup of all the products in our application. But we should define another array that is called filtered products. This is also any array. And this is the array that we're going to display in our template. So initially, when we load all these products, we set this.filtered products to this.products, which equals all the products we get from Firebase. But in the filter method, we need to reset this field, filtered products. So we set this.filtered products. Now, if you have a query here, in other words, if the user types something, we want to apply a filter on our main array of products. So this.products, here we call the filter method and pass an arrow function for filtering. So this method will iterate over this array. In each iteration, we get a product object. Now here we add the actual filtering logic. So each product has a title, right? Now in this case, we don't have IntelliSense because the type of this array, look, products, the type of this array is any array. So any doesn't have a property called title. Now we can temporarily fix this issue by changing this type to an inline type, saying each product has a property called title, which is of type string. Later, we can refactor this code and define an interface called product and replace this inline type with product array. Okay? Now let's revert this. So back to our filtering. Each product has a title. Now we want to get all the products whose title has this query that we pass to this filter method. So p.title.includes query. This will return all these products. Now, otherwise, if we don't have a query, in other words, when the user deletes the value of this search field, in this case, query is going to be null or an empty string, then we don't want to iterate over this products array and filter. We can simply reset this filtered products to this.products. Okay? Now, to extend this a little bit more, you want to cater for case sensitivity. So, one simple and quick solution is to convert the title of product to lowercase, and at the same time, convert this query to lowercase to make sure filtering is done no matter how the user uses uppercase or lowercase letters. So this is how we implement filtering on the client. Of course, this is a very simplified filtering. We're only filtering based on the title. In a more complex scenario, our algorithm would be different. Now let's go back to our template. We no longer have this products observable, so we should remove this and iterate over filtered products. Now let's test the application. So here on this page, I can search for spinach and see as soon as I type, the table gets updated. It's very fast. This is the result of client-side searching. Now, if I hit backspace and delete, in this case, query is null or an empty string, so our table is reset to its initial state. Similarly, I can search for bread or baked. See, it's very fast.